Welcome to the Weekly Takeaway, what you need to know from the news. Coming to you from a remote location today. I'm actually traveling, and it's been a while since I've been able to travel, but have had some great meetings this week and excited to get back home, but wanted to stop and share some news. There are some things going on, a bunch of stuff that we could talk about today. We'll hit a few of these. The first one is the one that we're all dealing with, COVID-19, the coronavirus. It's still a thing. You've been updated. This is what we're all dealing with. You're dealing with it. I'm dealing with it. We all wonder what's going to happen. Some states are opening. Some states are not. Some governors are acting like they actually understand we have a constitution. Others aren't so sure. It's crazy. We're making our way forward, and hopefully we'll continue to make some progress. It is a thing, and we'll figure it all out as we move forward. There's another story, though, and this has been an interesting one really to watch over the last couple of years. And finally this week, it looks like it came to some resolution. The Department of Justice dropped the case finally against Michael Flynn. You may be familiar with this story. National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, served for a short time as the security advisor, national security advisor for Donald Trump following the campaign after he became president. And a series of events unfolded that it looks like produced an investigation by the FBI that was fraudulent at the very best. And we'll see. Again, much more information will come out in the days ahead, but General Flynn has been trying to change a plea he made early on in this process as he was trying to navigate the waters that he was in, and it was a crazy situation. He was trying to deal with it, and he's been continuing to deal with that. Finally, the Department of Justice dropped their case. Department of Justice officials said they concluded, and this is the quote, and I'll read it to you, that Flynn's interview by the FBI was untethered to and unjustified by the FBI's counterintelligence investigation into Mr. Flynn, and that the interview was conducted without any legitimate investigative basis. Let me get that. The FBI conducted an interview with the National Security Advisor without, quote, any legitimate investigative basis. We know this. It's no secret that the left of our country has done everything they can to undermine the presidency of President Donald Trump, and it began right here. It began with Michael Flynn. And this has been unfolding and shaping, and we've been trying to understand it since the very beginning. It's been unclear, but finally, justice, at least in this case, has been done. And there are a number of takeaways, I guess, that we could extrapolate from this. Again, this time together is about hearing the news, understanding the news, and doing our best to take something important away. One of the takeaways as we consider this case is this: justice is sometimes done. It comes to be. It comes into focus as the picture becomes clear. Justice prevails, and we're thankful for that. That's not always the case. We'll look at another situation here in just a moment. But over time, if we will persevere and the right people will get on board and the right truth speakers will speak the truth, justice can prevail. I'll say this, though, as we consider all that's happened since the beginning of this case with General Flynn. The left of our country will continue to, and has, seek to undermine the legitimate presidency of President Donald Trump. We'll see, again, how all of this unfolds, but take heart if you have lost it. The good guys do, from time to time, win, and we're thankful for that. That takes us, though, to the next story, and this is the opposite of a win for the good guys. In a New York Times op-ed, it was entitled this: "Electing Biden is worth dismissing accuser and weakening the voices of victims." This was a New York Times op-ed with that title. Electing Biden is worth dismissing the accuser and weakening the voices of victims. I want to read a part of this. Far-left activist Linda Hirschman, author of a book called Reckoning: The Epic Battle Against Sexual Abuse and Harassment. Let's stop there for a second. Hopefully the irony will not be lost on you. Linda Hirschman wrote a book entitled Reckoning: The Epic Battle Against Sexual Abuse and Harassment. Now, I haven't read this book. Maybe you have. I doubt it if you're watching this. But if you have, you know the truth. Presumably, however, this book is about, as the title would suggest, fighting the battle against sexual abuse and harassment. This is a woman that, although far left, a feminist, should be, or has at least positioned herself as a champion for women's rights against sexual abuse. She wrote in a New York Times op-ed on Wednesday that while she believes the woman who is accusing Democrat presidential candidate Joe Biden of rape, she is still voting for Biden, but because she claims it's worth it. You are familiar with the story, I'm sure. Joe Biden was accused of sexual assault in 1993 by his former Senate staffer, Tara Reade. This is a story that most of us are familiar with. But this op-ed in the New York Times really encapsulates the response of the left to this allegation. I've spoken of this before. You remember when the Kavanaugh hearing was taking place, the allegations that were made against Judge Kavanaugh and all that went into that trial, the hearing, everything that happened. It was crazy, quite a circus, and it ended with him being confirmed to the Supreme Court. But throughout that process, the left of this country, the political left of this country, was saying things like all women should not only be heard, but believed. And now Joe Biden, who is running for president against Donald Trump, because he is the one who can defeat Donald Trump. Again, whether he can or not is irrelevant. He is the left's best shot of defeating President Donald Trump. Because of that alone, even though those on the left who position themselves as champions of women and champions in the fight against sexual assault, they pragmatically will decide to say, we believe the accuser, but we don't care. We don't care about the character of the man, the actions of the man, or who he really is. We don't care about any of those things. Why? Because he could potentially defeat President Trump, and that's more important than the individual. I don't need to draw a takeaway from that story. The takeaway is apparent. Certainly the left of the country, those who are still rallying around Joe Biden, are people who absolutely do not care about the individual. They care only about their political ideology and their chances for defeating our current president. I don't know where you fall on this political spectrum, but that says everything that I need to know about the political left and in particular the Democratic Party of this country. Justice, although sometimes is served and does prevail, often it's overlooked for political expedience. What a story. That takes us to another story, not nearly as heavy, but certainly as interesting. A 5-year-old was stopped by the U.S. highway, stopped on a U.S. highway by the police driving a car. The 5-year-old was driving the car. He was driving it apparently because he wanted to go to California to purchase a Lamborghini. Apparently, the story that he told was that he told his mom he wanted her to buy him a Lamborghini. This is a 5-year-old, big dreams. He wanted her to buy him a Lamborghini. She wouldn't do it. So he stole her car keys and began to drive to California where he could get one himself. Here's what the police officer said. He said he decided to take the car and go to California and buy one for himself. He might have been short on the purchase amount as he only had $3 in his wallet. What a story. With all the craziness going on in the world, perhaps this young man, this 5-year-old, was just tired of being cooped up in the house. Coronavirus got another victim. This 5-year-old little boy who has his first moving violation. A lot of things going on in the world. I would encourage you, take heart, be encouraged. Good things are happening. There are other things that we don't understand, but certainly reveal the intent of those who say they believe one thing, but truly believe another. Meanwhile, the world continues to go and kids are still kids and things are still happening, and we'll all get through this together. Appreciate you watching. Hope you have a great weekend.